Okay, today we're going to work on 711 rules, tables, and graphs, part 1. So our objective is to analyze patterns and rules and tables of values, create graphs to represent data, and answer questions about it. So our success criteria, you will be able to use data plotted on graphs to help you analyze patterns and rules. So we look at our mental math here, we can see an in and out table, so we need to determine what the rule is. So we look at the first one, I see the in is 0, the out is 0. Really doesn't tell me much, other than probably it's plus 0, which doesn't make sense, or multiply by 0. And again, that doesn't make sense either. Then we look at 1, it goes up 6, and then we look at 2, it goes up 12, and then 3, it goes up 18. So I notice a pattern here when I look at this, that each time it is being multiplied by 6. And 6 times 0 would still be 0. So that pattern makes sense to me. So the rule there would be multiply by the n by 6 to find out. So let's look at this one. 0, 0 again. And the next one here, I'm going from 5 to 1. So I know I'm either subtracting or I am dividing. So let's see, 5 minus 1 would be subtract 4. If I did division, it'd be divide by 5. Let's see which one would work for the next. 10 subtract 4 would be 6. 10 divided by 5 would be 2. So it looks like the divided by 5 rule works. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. So one thing you can do there, if you're going from the n from larger to smaller, you can check to see if it's subtraction or division and try both rules throughout the chart to see if it works. If you're going from the n being smaller to a larger out, then you could check to see if it's multiplication or addition and check both rules. Okay, so let's look at this one here. So let's see, I have 1/3 and I'm making it into 1. So I could be doing addition, and I would be, if I was doing addition there, I'd be adding 2/3. If I'm doing multiplication, I'd be multiplying it by 3. So let's see which one works here. So I know 2/3 plus 2/3 would be 4/3. So that's not going to work. Let's see, 2/3 multiplied by 3. I get 6/3, which equals 2. Okay, so let's try this one here. So 3/3 times 3, I know that 3/3 is equal to 1, 3. So 1 times 3 is equal to 3. So the rule here would be multiply by 3. So again, just checking the rules to see what works there. Now, go ahead and open up your math journal to this lesson here. So 711. So look at your math journal. Sorry, I don't have the page number on there. But you're going to open up the 711 displaying data in a table and on a graph. So go ahead and pause the video and find that now. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to open up to this page here. It says follow your teacher's directions to complete problem 1. Okay, so let's look here together. First we see we have an x and y, which will be helpful whenever we're graphing data. And I can see for the x value, it's going to be time in minutes. Keeps moving on here. It's going to be time in minutes. And then I can see for the y, it's going to be distance. And I also want to remember the x goes, oops, I did that backwards. Okay, the x goes left or right, and the y goes up and down. Okay, so let's look at our rule here. 0 and 0 doesn't work. 1 times something equals 8. So let's see, 1 times 8 equals 8. 2 times 8 equals 16. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. So I think the rule here is to multiply the n by 8. Now, let's go ahead and finish that together. So I know 5 times 8 is 40. And 6 times 8 is 48. Now we need to write those into order pairs. So we know that in an order pair, the x goes first. So I'll do the first one with you. 0, 0, which is the origin when we plot. Let's look at the next one. I would say, oh, my X is 1, my Y is 8. And you would fill that out for the rest of these over here. So then after you plot, or after you write the order pairs, then we want to go through and plot the order pairs on the coordinate grid on Math Journal page 265. So use your graph to answer the question below. How did the plane travel 2.5 minutes? How far did it travel in 2.5 minutes? Now, I could do this two ways. I could say 2.5 multiplied by the rule of 8. Oh, and I did 2 1/8. So 2.5, just start that over. You can do 2.5 multiplied by 8 because 2.5 minutes would be the end. So we would multiply by the 8 to find out. And then we want to think about how many miles did the plane travel in 5 minutes 24 seconds, or 5 2/5 minutes. And how long did it take for the plane to travel 60 miles? How long did it take for the plane to travel 64 miles? But first we need to go ahead and plot our data points. So go ahead and stop the video, or pause the video, and write your order pairs. Okay, so let's go through these ordered pairs together, make sure we have them all filled in. So 3 to 24. 4, 32, 5, 40, and then 6, 48. Now you're going to go to the next page there, and we're going to plot those points. So our very first one was the origin 0, 0. So I always start at 0, 0, and I'm going to put my dot right here. And then I'll go back to my previous page, and I see my next order pair here is the X is 1, the Y is 8. So I go over 1 to 1, and I just count up, and I can see here we can count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So my next one was over 1, up 8. And then the next one is over 2, up 16. So the 2 is marked for me. I want to start at 10, and then just count up by 2s. 10, 12, 14, 16, plot my point. And you can kind of see what we're doing there. We just keep going back. Each line counts as 2. So then we have 3 over 3 of 24. So go over to 3, and I just count up to 24, 22, 24. Oh. And of course, it made a line there, so I'm going to have to fix that. But if I go across 20, 22, 24, get rid of the random line that did here. Now, then I go to Then I go to 4, 32. So I go over 4, up 32. So I go over to 4, and I look at 30. I follow it across, and then I want to go up 2. So 32, 34. And it should be a little easier to see in your book than mine. My screen here with the lines. So hopefully you can see that in your book, and you can just make sure that they match up there. But I can see just from stepping back and looking, I needed to move it over for the 4 to right here. And then when we have them all plotted, we'll make a straight line. And this is where you want to use a ruler or straight edge, side of a book, or something that can help you make that straight if you don't have a ruler. Our next one is over 5, up 48. So again, I go up to 40. I just count 42, 46, 48. And then I have my last order pair there. Should be, oh, and I made a mistake on this one. Should be 6 or 540 here. and then 648 over here. So I'm going to go ahead and change this 648, and I made a mistake there. I read it wrong. It should be 540 over 540. And then what you want to do, again, I don't have a straight edge. I'm going to try to draw a line here, straight as I can, connecting our data point. It looks like maybe it's off just a little bit right here. Okay, so you should take the time to do a straight line there. So go ahead and do that now. And I could go ahead and project this line all the way up to here. Again, you want to use straight edge, and we want to use the arrows because this could be a continuation. So go ahead and pause the video, make sure you've plotted your points accurately there, and use a straight edge to make a straight line. Okay, so now you're hopefully have got that plotted and you've made your line. Now let's go back to the previous page and look at our first question. How far did the plane travel in 2.5 minutes? So I go to 2.5 minutes. So it's going to be the halfway mark. So let's see, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go halfway in between. There should be halfway between 2 and 2/5, and go halfway, and we just make a line to follow it up. And then you'll want to erase this line, but it can help me just kind of visualize intersects at 20 miles. So when I go back and look there, I can see that intersects at 20 miles. Okay. So all I'm doing is just seeing where they interpolate, just seeing where the data points down here connect, and once they hit that line, then you look at the number for the number of miles. Now, I'm going to let you do the number 4 on your own. So 5 and 2/5. And remember, between each minute there, one little box represents 1/5. So you would count over 2 and then go up. But let's look at 5. That one's backwards. They're actually asking you about how long. So they're asking for the time. Now, how long did it take the plane to travel 60 miles? So when I go 60 miles, again, I could take my pencil, but you'll want to erase this, but I could go all the way over here till it intersects with my line. Now, if I use the straight edge, it'd be a little more accurate, but I could see it's about 8 minutes, okay? So again, it was the opposite of the other one because they gave me the mileage, and I just had to follow it over until it intersected with my X coordinate there, which is 8. So it took about 8 minutes. And my unit would be minutes. Now I could also check that by using the rule there. In this case, I could say 60 divided by 8. So about 8 minutes. So, and the key here, it says about how long. So we know it's not going to be exact. This one should be exact. So then you're going to go back and you're going to look at 64 miles on your line plot. You look up here, so it goes by 2's, and you would just go straight across until it intersects with the line and determine how long it would take. So go ahead and pause the video and do that for 4 and 6. Okay, and that's the end of our lesson. You should have answered those other 2 questions there.